Hello everyone, welcome to Learning Now Simple, and we are back again with another video on Mughal Empire. In the previous video we had learnt about Babur, and today we are going to learn more about his son, his successor, that is Emperor Humayun. Nasruddin Muhammad, or as he was popularly known as Humayun, bore a name which meant blessed or fortunate. But life was full of ups and downs for him. He suffered a lot to get the empire under control and lost many territories that his father had succeeded in capturing. In comparison with the other Mughal empires, he was not considered as capable as his father or his son. His son was even more successful, but yes, he was considered a little incompetent. So first, we're going to look at the gist of Humayun's life. After Babur's death in 1530, Humayun succeeded the throne to central India. But when Babur succeeded the throne, he had created a lot of enemies. It is because we already know that he defeated the Lodhis of the Delhi Sultanate, and due to that reason, the Lodhis and the Afghans in Kabul and all were very much against him, and they were little hostile towards Humayun also. So Babur was very strong, and during Babur's time, he was, he didn't, whatever obstacle came his way, he was easily able to finish it off. But what happened during Humayun's time was that there was a lot of discord, there was a lot of chaos. So it was a lot of difficult. There was interior problems also, and there were a lot of problems outside also coming from people who united with the Lodhis and the Afghans. So, to sustain imperial power and hegemony, Humayun had to fight against the Afghans both in the east and the west. At the same time, he had to face hostilities from his own brothers, which weakened his cause against the Afghans. His life was filled with struggles to sustain the empire. There was a lot of discord during his rule. So, what was the main problem? Why was Humayun's life such a struggle? Why was there, no law and order during his rule? It was because when Humayun ascended the throne, there was disharmony within his territories and enemies thronged outside as well. A lot of his brothers revolted for power, and there was a need for a definite administrative structure. And the two major enemies for him were Bahadur Shah, who was the ruler of Gujarat, and Sher Shah Suri, who came from Bihar. Both were extremely strong, but Sher Shah Suri actually delivered the final blow to Humayun, which was really, really difficult for him, which left him in a very difficult time period where he had to go into exile. And after Sher Shah Suri, he wasn't able to get back the land from Sher Shah Suri himself. Only after his incompetent successors came on the throne was Humayun able to get a hold of the situation. So what as it this was a point that I mentioned in the previous slide also. So there was a lot of problem inside also and outside also, and Humayun was very confused also, because when he went to one place, the other place was needing attention. For example, when Bahadur Shah served as when Bahadur Shah started showing his competence, then Sher Shah Suri also started showing his prominence from the other side. And then when Humayun fell, his brothers were also not there for him. So let us dive a little deeper into all this and get to know more about it. Now, first we'll talk about the problems within. So Humayun had many brothers, but the most prominent ones were these: Hindal Mirza, Kamran Mirza, and Askari Mirza. It was a custom in the Timurid dynasty. In the last video, we learned that Babur traced lineage with Timur on his paternal side. So in the Timurid dynasty, it was a custom to divide the territories among all the sons of the current successor. So that is also what Babur had desired. But then what happened was that each brother wanted separate independence. Humayun was the main person who succeeded Babur, and the rest of the brothers were made governors in different territories. But eventually what they started doing, they didn't accept their role as governors. They made them themselves the de facto rulers over there, and they started ruling as if it was their own territory. So when Humayun had to go back for help, when he had problems and when he had to go back for help, they denied him. So this was the internal struggle, because his brothers were, they were all, not united, they were all divided, and that was the main problem. Now, what happened on the outside mainly came from Sheshasuri and Bahadur Shah. Again, I'm repeating, Sheshasuri came from Bihar and Bahadur Shah was the ruler of Gujarat. Okay, so now we'll look at what happened on the outside. We just heard briefly about the internal struggles. Now, what happened on the outside? In 1535, Humayun started attacking Bahadur Shah, who had already started expanding with Malwa, Chanderi, and Ranthambore under him. These three places were already under him. So Humayun gathered an army and marched on Bahadur Shah. And within a month, he was successful. He had captured the forts of Mandu and Champaner, and he had succeeded in defeating him. But it was for a brief time period. After a while, when Humayun started growing weak, Bahadur Shah utilized his opportunity and wrested back Gujarat and Malwa. But then what happened here is that Bahadur Shah got a hold of Gujarat and Malwa again when Humayun grew weak. But then he himself was not able to utilize it because Bahadur Shah had gone into negotiations with the Portuguese. What happened? Bahadur Shah had given a lot of help to the Lodi princes, and he also conspired with the Portuguese. And because of this only, he was able to secure a strong foothold. Now, these three places that he captured, that was also because of their joint support. And they were all against Humayun, and they were all willing to help him. That is why he was able to easily capture the places. But then Humayun, at first, he overthrew uh, Bahadur Shah, but then eventually Bahadur Shah got his opportunity again. But when Bahadur Shah got it back, he was killed by the Portuguese, because when the Portuguese offered help, they expected some land in return. But when they felt that Bahadur Shah wasn't giving enough to them, then they killed him and they threw him into the Arabian Sea. And because of his early and unexpected death, there was not much problems coming from that region. But then there was a bigger problem on the other side. And this is where we are introduced to Sheshasuri. While Humayun spent time in battles with Bahadur Shah, Sheshasuri began rising. He established a firm foothold at Bihar and got a hold of the Chunar fort, which Humayun was after. After a brief victory on Humayun's side, Sher Shah strengthened himself. So we'll dive a little deeper into that. So Sher Shah Suri was his actual name was Farid Khan. He was also known as Sher Khan because in his youth he was believed to have killed two tigers with his own hands, which was why he was also known as Sher Khan. So Sher Shah Suri had, after the defeat of Humayun, he established the Sur Empire, which lasted for a very short period of time because of the incompetence of the weak rulers. So the Afghans united under his leadership, under Sher Shah's leadership. Okay. Sher Khan ruled from Sasaram in modern day Bihar. So that is where he started. When Humayun was busy battling against Bahadur Shah, he quietly got a hold of Bihar. He became the ruler over there. He started ruling from there. And then when Humayun came to know that, okay, he has got Bihar, this became a problem for Humayun. And then what happened? There was a brief victory on Humayun's side. Humayun was able to get back the Chunar fort. But then what happened was that Sher Shah Suri captured Gaur, the capital of Bengal, in that time. Okay. And he besieged Mahmud Shah. Besieged basically means forced him to surrender with the help of army, with the help of armed forces. Okay. So Mahmud Shah was the ruler of Bengal. Sher Shah, after a brief victory on Humayun's side, Sher Shah Suri went to the capital of Bengal, that was Gaur, and he captured that place. After this victory, Sher Shah's strength just started increasing tremendously. He became extremely powerful, and he was also he was a very skilled warrior. He was very good at making decisions and all, and He was very, very, very shrewd and intelligent and very strong also. And because of his mental abilities, he was easily able to gain force also. Force as in the armed forces. He was able to get hold of a strong army, and he was easily able to defeat Humayun. First at the Battle of Chausa in 1539, and then at the Battle of Kannauj in 1540. These are the two important battles that you have to remember. One is the Battle of Chausa and the Battle of Kannauj in 1539 and 1540 respectively. So they are successive battles. They are in successive years. After the defeat, after Humayun's defeat in the Battle of Kannauj, Sher Shah Suri became the Sultan for a brief time period. And there were many. So Sher Shah Suri was a very strong and capable ruler. There were many reforms in his rule, such as the introduction of a uniform currency called rupiah and the construction of roads. This uniform currency was actually a very good initiative on his part, because there was a tendency for people to create fake currency also and bring in coins just like that from the market. But then when he introduced this uniform currency, they all had to use the same currency. And he had made a lot of reforms in the administrative structure also, and he made sure that there was no internal problems also, so that his side was strong, so that if somebody wanted to revolt from inside also, he knew how to handle things. He also constructed a lot of roads and rest houses along the roads for travelers. He was a very strong ruler. He also kept in mind the welfare of his people. Okay, we talked about Sher Shah Suri, but then what happened to Humayun? He fled after the Battle of Kannauj in 1540. He fled from India and sought refuge in Persia, that is present day Iran. So he ran to a lot of places actually. He went to Agra, and then from there he went to place to place to place. He went to his brothers, and his brothers all refused to help. This is a point which I had stated before. When he appointed his brothers as governors in different places, right? So when he went to his brothers for help, his brothers didn't allow him. They just turned their backs on him, and Humayun was helpless. So he became a royal in exile. He had the status, yes, he was the former ruler, and he fled. And where did he go? He went to the Safavid Empire of Persia, and he was exiled for 15 years. It took that much time till he was able to come back to central India. So he took refuge in the Safavid Empire of Persia, where Shah Tamas treated him like a brother. So in these 15 years, he was firstly, okay, he was an exiled person, and because of Shah Tamas, he was able to slowly regain his strength. He first few years, okay, not much of a victory for him, and after that, because of the help of Shah Tamas, he was able to reconsolidate territories. That is, wherever he had given the territories to his brothers, he was able to overrule them and take the territories back with the help of a strong army. Now, what happened in Delhi? Okay, we heard that 15 years he was exiled. But then, was that the end? No. Then a golden opportunity came for Humayun. Humayun, as I stated when we were exploring the previous slide, as I stated previously, Humayun was able to reconsolidate his territories from his brothers. Small territories like in Kabul and all, he was able to take back the places. But then he got his opportunity after 15 years. He struck the iron while it was hot. So Humayun had gone for a long exile, but he got his opportunity after a long wait. Sher Shah Suri died in 1545, so he had just 5 years of rule. We heard that he became the supreme ruler in 1540 after the Battle of Kannauj, but he died very soon, just 5 years. Similar to the story of our Akbar, right? I mean, of our Babur, right? Okay. With the defeat of Humayun, he became the temporary master of Delhi and established the Su dynasty. Sher Shah Suri's descendants were weak, which was very much unlike him. Sher Shah Suri was very strong, but his descendants were very incompetent, and the administration grew weak under them. They didn't know exactly how to consolidate territories, and they were very lost. The last Sur empire was Sikandar Shah Suri of the Sur empire. Humayun took advantage. So there was, they were incompetent. They were very much incompetent, right? So Humayun took advantage of the situation. So at the Battle of Sirhind in 1555, he defeated Sikandar Shah Suri and was easily able to defeat the Surs and gain back control in central India. But then again, it was a brief victory, and again, things weren't very lucky for him. I think over the few slides, you might have noticed that that is how the course of events have been going. It's a brief victory, and then there is something sad also happening in his life. Some of the other obstacle arises, and that is exactly what happened. But this was the final obstacle, actually. Humayun conquered Kabul and Kandahar and captured Delhi and Agra. He re-established the Mughal rule in 1555 but died in 1556, leaving behind his minor son Akbar. Akbar was born when Humayun was in exile, and Akbar was only around 12 years old when Humayun died. And how he died, it was very, very unfortunate when you hear the story. Humayun had a very huge library, and it was very grand. He was very fond of reading. And then one day what happened, he was carrying a lot of books and all, and then he just fell down his library stairs, and the wounds were actually very severe. The wounds were that severe. He fell down multiple stairs and he was wounded very badly, and that is how a few days later he succumbed to those wounds. Humayun's tomb in Delhi is the first very grand garden tomb in Mughal architecture. His life was also chronicled by his sister, and this book, last year we in the last episode we heard about Babar Nama, which was an autobiography, but this was a biography which was chronicled by his sister, called as the Humayun Nama. So that was it about Humayun's life. Very short and filled with struggles. So before we end the session, let's just recollect all the points. 1530, Humayun ascends the throne after Babar's death. 1535, Humayun struggles for land begins. Okay. After a brief victory, Bahadur Shah wrests back his territories. That means Humayun got the territories of Malwa and Gujarat. But after a brief victory for some time, Bahadur Shah wrested back those territories. Wrested back as in fought back and got those territories. 1539 and 1540, successive years. Okay. Battle of Chausa and Battle of Kannauj. These battles were fought against whom? Go back and recollect. They were fought against Shesha Suri. Okay. Battle of Chausa was fought in 1539, and right after it, in the successive year, was Battle of Kannauj in 1540. This Battle of Kannauj proved to be like after these two battles, Humayun grew very weak. Weak as in not physically, I'm saying by force, by his armed forces, and he lost a lot of importance and all, and he lost a lot of territories, and he was forced to go into exile for 15 years. Then what he did, he sought shelter under Safavid in the Safavid Empire in Persia under Shah Tahmasp. He was able to gain back some territories with the help of Shah Tahmasp, who treated him like a brother. For example, Kabul and Kandahar, Agra. Okay. And in 1545, Shesha Suri died. Shesha Suri ruled only for 5 years. Okay. That is in central India, he ruled only for 5 years. Shesha Suri's death was in 1545, and after this, conditions weakened at Delhi. His successors were very weak and incompetent, and this gave a golden opportunity to Humayun. In 1555, he wrested back Delhi from Sikandar Shah Sur in the Battle of Sirhind. Okay, and in 1556, he dies a year later. A year later, after his victory in the Battle of Sirhind, he dies. He passed away in 1556, leaving behind his minor son Akbar. So thank you for watching this video. I hope that lesson sparked the interest in you to know more about the Mughal Empire. The stories are very, very fascinating. It's not just about the historical facts. It gives us a lot of morals also to learn from it. So I hope you enjoyed this lesson. Keep revisiting and recollecting the points so that you don't forget it. Thank you. And this is Learning Now Simple, signing out.